started today, thank you everyone for being here with Unleash, Release, and Heal. And it is my honor to have Doug on with us today. Thank you so much, Doug, for being here. And Doug is amazing, you guys. He is an old soul. He's been here many times. He has walked this path and is willing to share some of his insight and knowledge and kind of share with us today what his path to awakening and being on this earth at this time kind of looks like. So thank you, Doug, for being here.
Thank you, my honor.
So Doug, share with us a little bit, just to kind of give us a taste of you and kind of what your gifts are. Kind of give us a breakdown a little of what your awakening process looked like for you. And I say that in a sense of people watching this that maybe are just now tuning into their spiritual gifts. So kind of share with us when you first started recognizing what your gifts may be and kind of what that looked like for you.
Well, I didn't realize it at the time, but as a child, I used to astral travel. I used to go all sorts of, anyway, but didn't recognize that. And that was fairly young. In the growing up process, grew up in a religious home where they took it very seriously, and so that was a path that was given to me, not that I chose necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
and raised like that. And at the point in time when I realized that I didn't need to do that, I started to be the rebellious breakaway black sheep, whatever you want to call it, and became the antithesis of the party goer, and lived that life for quite a while. And to cut a long story short, I had always had some issues with my back, but had resisted allopathic methodologies.
Mm-hmm.
Had an opportunity, I think it was about 2017, to go see a doctor in Mexico where he was going to perform stem cell on me.
Okay.
Where he did, not was going to, he did.
Okay.
And while being there, I was there for a period of time. Obviously, stem cell is a process. And he invited me to a ceremony at his house.
Hmm.
And the ceremony consisted of an evening ceremony, plant-based ceremony, and then a morning ceremony that I was unaware of. The morning ceremony was the turning point in my life. The morning ceremony, I left my body for about 20 minutes and went and I met my creator.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came back into my body, had creator love in me that is just indescribable. Just have never felt anything like that.
So Doug, before you had this like experience of leaving your body, did you know you were going to be taken on this journey with him at this space, or were you just kind of walking into it saying, I trust this person, I'm open, I've been through enough in my life and I'm just going to go with the flow?
Probably some of all of that, but for the morning ceremony, the shaman selected me first, because if I may have watched someone else, I may have declined.
Right.
But he looked me in the eye, and because of the experiences the night before that I really didn't have any experiences, he looked me in the eye and he said, "Are you ready to die?" And so laughingly, I said, "Sure, let's go." And little did I know, off I went.
So do you feel like, looking kind of back at that situation and experiencing that, do you feel like you had traveled out of your body like that before this moment and you just maybe were more aware of it at this time? or was this like a totally new thing for you?
It was a totally new remembering, if that makes any sense.
Totally.
I,
Perfect.
I don't know how to explain that, but we all have memories in us that were, and part of it is these rememberings that we're trying to bring out of our gifts and things like that.
Mhm.
So that's probably the best way I can explain that.
That's really cool. And what a unique experience to have, and such a huge shift. Pretty, I don't know, that's almost like in a way just like ripping a band-aid off. And you just like ripped the band-aid off and you traveled and you came back with this knowledge and this pure love of source for you. At that point, after you've had this experience, what did it awaken you to as far as gifts within yourself? Like, did you just come back very questioning many things, or did you understand that there was a bigger purpose for you here?
Well, again, I believe one of the things that I have learned is universe doesn't just give you everything and go, here.
Yeah.
It's a process, and the process is the same for me as it is, I believe, for anybody that needs to walk a path. They need to travel the road. They need to understand why they volunteered to come here this time. They need to understand the purpose. They need, and it doesn't just happen all at once.
Right.
So for me, it was a process, and I'm still discovering. So it's not the end. I haven't reached the end of the road, and I don't know everything at all. I know very little.
Well, Doug, I think just those of you that are tuning in, and myself included in this statement, but we do feel your calm sense of, I don't think power is necessarily the right word, but we've talked earlier, and safety, and you do carry some space for some safety. And I think that is a huge quality, and not many people have that quality. So thank you for sharing that piece with us, because it really is very soothing, and it helps us just want to tune in and learn more from you. And so take us from that experience to kind of, what are some of the things that you've learned? And I know life is life and we kind of go up and down through this process, but how did you get turned on? I know this because I've talked to you before with kind of doing sound work with healing bowls, and you've got all kinds of instruments and things that you use now, and then kind of your consciousness process. So tell us a little bit more about those things.
Well, part of that started, Julie, as I was coming back into my body. It was like a tunnel, but not a tunnel. It was
Mhm.
like there was no defined edges, and the light would get farther and farther away. And excuse me,
Mhm.
as I mentioned, I was in ceremony. There were other people there, and there was a gentleman there that played the didgeridoo.
Mhm.
So as I was coming back into my body, I was hearing this didgeridoo, and I'm thinking to myself, that's really rude to be interrupting my experience with their musical instrument, as nice as a didgeridoo is.
Right.
And so after regaining my sense and sitting up, my brother happened to be there. I looked him in the eye and I said, who was playing that didgeridoo? And he said, there was complete silence here.
Wow.
And what I have since discovered through my reading and remembering, it was not a didgeridoo at all. It was Om. It was the Om sound. It was the vibration.
Mhm.
So vibration. And so that led me to the vibration, the singing bowls, and I have some tuning forks, and just various different, I started writing a little bit about mantras and mudras, and things we can say as we've experienced the sound that will assist us and things like that.
Well, yeah, and so to give people maybe a little background, sound healing is huge. Didgeridoo is part of that, and it really is, comes down to, and has now been scientifically proven, that as the sound wave is created and there are vibrations, that they literally change and do change the cells in your body that you can heal simply from tuning into, for lack of a better word, these vibrations that are coming from either a tuning fork, a drum, a crystal bowl, a Tibetan singing bowl, just tuning into sound frequencies that are so readily available to us now. It's amazing. And having these tools for you, now that you've experienced this and gone, whoa, there's this vibration and this tool and this sound. Were you thinking, I want more? Like, was that kind of where you went, or were you kind of the other way and rebelled against it a little bit at first?
Well, I wanted everything and I wanted it all now.
Yeah.
But realized that was not going to happen. And so after realizing that there was healing and vibration, realizing how miraculous these organisms that we have are, realizing how they manage themselves if we take care of them, and how they're just so intelligent, that the healing that needs to take place is really not our bodies, it's the emotions and it's the things inside of our bodies. And these vibrations help bring that back into alignment.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Totally, because we all know that just even our thoughts create a vibration. And so if we're having very self-critical or negative thought patterns, it's going to create a vibration, and then you may manifest that vibration physically in a negative way, because you're not understanding that everything you think, eat, say, do is creating some sort of vibration. And I mean, we could dive into the somatics of that pretty deeply, I'm sure, you and I, but at the end of the day, like, discovering this process for you, tell us a little bit about how that's helped you heal, and what you felt change within you as you have become more accustomed to these vibrations.
Well, my first modality that I was looking into is called access consciousness. Some people call it the bars. What that is that there are points on the head, much like craniosacral. If you're familiar with craniosacral, light touch releases fascia and body relaxes. Same thing with our brain. We have points on the head that, when they're lightly touched, release certain hormones, chemicals, help bring more balance back into the left and right hemispheres, help balance things back out. So that was my first modality, and that was working with energy, but realizing it wasn't working with my energy. It was their energy working, and that's true with a lot of modalities. So
Right.
I've since found out is that we facilitate the client, the person, to heal themselves.
Right. And so you're just tuning into a space to help support and facilitate that vibration so that their body can then align and get back into the space they need to be in. How has that helped you personally?
Well, and with access consciousness, every time I have a session, I receive. So it's a balance, it's a give and take.
Right.
And with that, how much better can it be than that?
Yeah, right. No, definitely. That is a huge piece of it. And have you, like, share with us maybe a little bit, like, how have you seen it help people? Has it helped them, like, physical ailments? I know you discussed your back when you went and had this first experience with this, also stem cell as well, but like, how did that really work? And what have you seen, kind of the miracles, I guess, of this healing happen for you?
What I've come to understand is that everyone has a path. And as much as we have the feelings that we would like to heal everyone, we can't. Because the path that they have chosen may be a path that can't be healed. It's their contract, if you will, but they're fulfilling. And so as I learned this with my sister who was dying, and I knew that I could prolong her life. I didn't know that if I could cure or fix her, but I knew I could prolong her life. but was somewhat denied accessibility because they had already written her, she's gone. She's only got days to live. So they had written her off.
Right.
But what I came to realize with that experience is that it was not my calling to help her. She was filling her contract.
She already had made her, yeah, she'd already made her choice at that point, right?
And so part of what you and I do is we try and ascertain what they need most. And most of the time it's emotional type things that create physical situations. And once we can help them recognize what that root cause, Dr. T root cause is, then they're on a path.
Yeah, definitely. And do you feel like that you've evolved through this pathway yourself and you've just become, like you're talking about earlier, just a step-by-step process and each day and as time goes, another layer is kind of peeling off for you and you're starting to understand more of what your process is. And then you meet this wonderful woman, Lula. And we've talked about Lula in a few other of my interviews, and she is someone I think that has helped all of us just even open a little bit more clearly to our purpose and our path. So maybe share with us a little bit about how you met her and how has she helped support you in finding that purpose?
Lula, how can you mention her name without a smile?
Right? I agree.
She's just so unbelievably loving and fun and it's open to anyone. I have never seen or felt anything from her that is anything more than just unconditional love.
Yeah.
With that, I happened to be at an event that was in southern Utah, and she had come down to be part of the event. I was kind of part of it, but not really part of it. I was sort of a co-host, so to speak. And I had known about her from the hostess. And so when I found out she was coming, I scheduled a session to be with her while I was down there. And have been going back ever since. She's helped me understand so many things. She's helped me clear so many things. She had Shane as well. You know, they have both worked tandem, and Lula has worked separately, and I don't believe I would be where I am today without her help. Yeah, she's just been amazing.
That's awesome.
We did a clearing the other day, and I had done some before that had gone back 5 and 6 generations. Thought I was done. I'm clear. Whew. And she says, "You're not clear." So she went ahead and did another clearing on me, and with the engineering background that I have, and I questioned what everything's a question. I asked her, I said, "Well, how many generations?" And she said 18 generations back to hit that clearing. And it's like, how could you do that without someone's help?
No, you can't. I know for me, like, to add to that, it really is interesting with her knowledge and her help to grasp how deeply she can go and what a gift to be able to work with her, because she's not telling you these things. They're things you already know. You're just not quite able to access them. And with her assistance, she's guiding you really to do the work and to get these things cleared so that you can move forward into this space of where you're at even today. And it just gets better and better. I don't ever see any of the work I've done with her have a negative impact on my life ever, not one time.
Exactly. And I have never heard it from anybody else. So,
Yeah. I mean, it just really is pretty cool and pretty miraculous in a way if we allow ourselves to be open to thinking outside of the literal box. And you, I mean, are a perfect example of being an engineer and being in engineering and black and white and logic. Was it difficult for you to be open to these other things coming in, or were you able to ease into this process pretty easy because of just how it made you feel?
It was a difficult thing because I, the age that I am, was raised with the mentality, be a man.
Mhm.
Don't cry, don't just pick yourself up and just be a man. Just don't show emotion, tuck it down in and just move through and just, and that was all masculine. That was all
Right.
masculine energy pushing that. And what I have come to realize is, and you mentioned the Schumann resonance, that's a feminine energy, such a feminine, warm energy. And that was a part of my life that was missing, that was, I had it. I didn't know I had it.
Right.
And coming in touch with that energy that has, yeah, has helped me even with connect with Lula and that feminine, and first realizing that we all have that balance of, and it may not be a 50-50 balance, but we all have masculine, feminine traits, characteristics.
Yeah, it's definitely finding that balance within yourself. And I think that you're right. You come from a generation of be masculine 100% of the time. And if you're not walking that path and working your butt off and to the point where you're stressed beyond all stress and you're not doing your job, you're not taking care of your family, you need to protect and do all these things. And there really isn't any time or space left for you in that masculine sphere. And so for you to find that balance and come into that more feminine, what I like to look at as feelings and heart space, it's really helped you open up and live more healthy. I mean, you look amazing. You look bright and you're connecting and you look amazing. So I commend you for the work that you've done. And I think people watching this video will also feel the same thing. You do, you're very solid, you're very grounded, and you're bright. Like I see you just shining away and very passionate about this work and what it is that needs to be done. So with all of that being said, Doug, what's next for Doug? Where are we at on what's next? Are we gathering? Are we what's the purpose here for you?
Well, I believe that through the journey that I have been on, the Akashic records that I have, how can I put this, that I have tried to incorporate and parallel my life with. Part of that mentions that as we go through these times, one of the things that will happen is I will become and I'm paraphrasing, so these aren't the exact, but become over a small part of the earth.
Mhm.
And as I've sat with that for a while, tried to bring in the emotion and the teaching into it, what would that mean to me? And while I was in Sedona having a nice experience down there, met another soul who has the same type of calling.
Mhm.
And we're looking at bringing together a new type of living community. I shouldn't say that because it's really getting back to old style of living and the passion that I have about not desecrating the earth and the resources. And so it's all about raising our conscious level and living a different style of life. Yeah.
Right. And I think people, if they were to pay attention to anything going on with our world and earth and really understanding that we as human bodies are a part of this earth, we're connected. And the more we connect, the more we understand that we need to start to be more aware of what we're doing and how we're living, and that this earth frequency really is shifting and changing. It's a measurable scientific fact. And
Yes.
unless we start to wake up and tune into our calling, like you're talking about, and I am, yeah, just wow, thank you. And so honored to have you sharing this with us, because it's a big deal. And it is, I mean, it means life or death for this earth, for this planet, for humanity. I really believe that. And the more of us that can get in tune with what is going on and the changes happening and how we can best help, that quilt or that connection that you talked about that expands across this whole globe gets that much easier to connect, and things can change. So thank you.
It's that ripple effect, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Well, Doug, show us, you showed me earlier, but turn your camera. We want to see all your tools. Let me see all your crystal bowls set up back there again for everyone to see. So Doug's not messing around, guys. Like, look at all this stuff. So if any of you have any questions about healing or music, Doug's your man. Access consciousness with sound healing. And if you have questions, I think Doug, yeah, continue. Tell us.
Really great. You're the shaman drummer. Let me show you this drum.
Yes,
Really
I want to
cool.
see it. Yes. Oh, wow. Look at that. Beautiful. And who did the artwork on this piece for you?
That's my light language.
Okay, that's awesome.
And I think you interviewed, and I haven't seen it yet, but Katie Joe.
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, the lady that did this trained Katie Joe.
Okay.
So it kind of ties.
Back everything back in. That's so great. I love that you shared that. Yeah, for those of you listening, and Katie Joe, I did interview her as well, and she does some amazing shamanic healing and work with drums, and you can go build a drum with her, and just music. It's just that vibrational tuning in, and it's time. And if you need healing or help or support in that way, yeah, Doug, we'll put some email address in the bio attached to this video, so if people have questions, they can reach out to you. But I really appreciate your time. You are so full of knowledge and stories, and this really could go for hours.
Thank you. And I would suggest that anyone watching go see your other videos as well. Very, very well done. Very interesting.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I really do. I'm so honored to have you here. And thank you for sharing these experiences with us. It's very intimate, and I know not always easy to share. So I appreciate that. And hopefully you've gained some clarity yourself in this process too. So thanks again.
Thank you, Julie.
Okay, everybody, thank you for being here for Unleash, Release, and Heal. And we just all are in such honor of Doug. And I say we, meaning everyone listening, and myself included in that. So thank you, and have an awesome day. So honored to have had this experience with you. So thank you.
Thank you.